use a 10mm wrench to go ahead and loosen and remove the terminal here for the battery. Let's go ahead and loosen that up. Using a 12mm gear wrench, we're going to go ahead and loosen this nut right here on the power steering pump. I'm going to go ahead and loosen this adjuster bolt right here. I'm going to use a 12mm socket and ratchet and loosen our lower bolt on the power steering pump. With that bolt loose, we should be able to pivot our power steering pump. And we'll remove our belt from the pump itself. With the belt off, we're going to go ahead and try and remove our bolts here to get the pump up and out. At this point, with that belt off, we're now going to go ahead and get that bolt out as far as we can. And just a nut on that one there. We're going to go ahead and remove the adjuster by continuing to remove that bolt we had loosened earlier. Remove the nut off of that there. Now we're going to remove this bolt here, holding the adjuster bracket in place. I'm just removing our adjuster bracket and bolt right here. Set that aside. Now our whole pump is loose. What we have to do now is take the pump and our reservoir out together. There was a connecting hose that goes from the pump to the reservoir, and then the reservoir has another line that goes towards the back. Now we're going to pull this up, we're going to set it aside. It is full of power steering fluid, so you want to make sure that any of the fluid does not leak out and get onto the paint of the vehicle. I'm going to grab our reservoir, pull it up out of its bracket. Hopefully we can get this out together. And bring this up. Go ahead and set that aside. And we have a big cloth on the side here. We're going to use a jack and a small block of wood, and we're going to jack up just until we can put a little bit of support on that oil pan. We're not going to lift the car, just want to support that while we remove the motor mount. Using our 17mm socket, we're going to go ahead and remove this, and this one here. Take our upper mount, lift this bracket right off here, set that aside. Using a 14mm socket, we're going to remove this bolt and this bolt here. I'm going to use a 14mm wrench to get to the back one. Use our gear wrench in the back here. Grab our mount. Go ahead and lift that up and out. Let's go ahead and feed our motor mount down and in. I'm going to go ahead and install our bolts. I'm just going to get these started by hand, just a few threads. We'll thread them in as far as we can now that we have all three started. Then we'll go ahead and tighten these down. Make sure all three of these bolts are pretty tight. Now, using our floor jack, we're able to lower the motor down a little bit. Go ahead and get this mount set like that. Let's go ahead and jack this up. I'm going to go ahead and just pull the motor over a little bit. I'm just going to work the jack back and forth until that can pop on. Let's go ahead and get the nuts installed. Once these are on, we'll go ahead and snug them down. Let's go ahead and torque these down to 40 foot-pounds. I'm going to go ahead and lower our jack. And go ahead and roll that aside. All right, we're going to go ahead and bring our power steering pump over. We have our horizontal bolt here. Let's remove the nut off of that. All right, we're going to install our lower bolt down. Install the bolt in the adjuster slot down below. And feed that through the bottom eyelet of the power steering pump. I'm going to get and install the nut on the front side of it and just get it started a few threads. Install our pivot bolt here. And get the nut started on the back side here. Get it started a few threads. And then for the upper mount, we're going to install our little bolt up top here. At this point, we can go ahead and snug this bolt down right here. Let's go ahead and tighten down this nut a little bit more. This is our pivot bolt or slide bolt here. Now we don't want to make it too tight because we want to make sure that this can still move up and down freely. I'm going to install your belt. Feed this down. I'm going to get it around your power steering pump. And come down through the wheel well area. Feed that onto your crank. Let's go ahead and tighten this bolt right here. That'll bring the power steering pump up, tightening the belt. Go ahead and tighten this up. You want to have about 1/4 of an inch of play in the middle of the belt. Push down and pull up. Once you feel that you have the right tension, let's go ahead and tighten down this nut here and our lower nut and bolt. All right, snug that down. We're going to double check our belt tension. And it is a little bit tighter than what we want. So let's go ahead and loosen this. We're going to repeat our tightening process. We're going to loosen the belt a little bit. Perfect. Let's go ahead and tighten up that lower bolt. We're using our gear wrench in this spot due to the clearance or a lack of clearance we have. I'll go ahead and snug that down. So once it bottoms out, just give it a little bit more. There we go. You want to take your reservoir, slide that up and place that into your bracket. Push it down into place. You want to make sure that your hoses are popped into their retainers in the back here. Just press those down into place. Go ahead and grab your ground cable here. Let's go ahead and tighten that down.